Hafiz Mudassir Yasin. Mudassir, are you relaxed for your interview?
Yes, ma'am.
Sit, relax, focus on the questions.
Okay, ma'am.
And then answers. Okay, Mudassir, first of all, let us have your introduction. A very brief, short and crisp.
Ma'am, I belong to Haveli Lakha, district Ukada. I am a teacher's son, and after completing my early education, I came to Government College University Lahore for my FSc, and then I did my engineering from Institute of Space Technology, Islamabad, and in aeronautics. And I have also been honored to represent Pakistan at Asia Europe Foundation Summer University in 2019. My interests include reading and mountaineering, and also socializing with other people and new people and interacting with them.
Right. So you have done a highly technical degree.
Yes, ma'am.
So why didn't you think of joining the aeronautical industry? And what are career opportunities available in Pakistan in aeronautics?
Ma'am, during my engineering degree, I actually realized that I had a knack for social sciences, especially history and geopolitics. But we all know that there are not many good social sciences schools in Pakistan, but there are definitely some better engineering schools in Pakistan, and IST was one of them. So I pursued my degree, and that technical degree has helped me to realize politics in a better and rational manner as well. And we know when we look at the profiles of different global leaders, for example, the ex-Chancellor of Germany, Angela Merkel, she had a PhD in engineering, and now the Chinese President Xi Jinping, he's also
okay, good enough. Being an engineer doesn't bar you from being a civil servant.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. So let's move with our interview. In your CV, you have mentioned your favorite personalities.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? One of which is Bismarck. So, what is Bismarck known for? And what did he do for Germany?
Ma'am, Bismarck is the founding father of the modern Germany. He was the sole person, just like Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who actually realized the long-lasting dream of German unification. Germany was actually divided in 39 different states, and Prussia was one of the biggest states. And he actually envisioned the unification of Germany, and he actually achieved that within 1 decade. And all was achieved through his diplomacy and art of politics that we call with that.
Okay, it is said that in the process of unification of Germany and making it a great power, in doing so, he laid the groundwork for World War I. How will you justify this statement?
Ma'am, Bismarck's contribution in World War I was not direct. His contribution was indirect. He was just a statesman who was pursuing for the growth of his country, and that should be actually the dream of all statesmen. He was actually doing his responsibility, his job. But when he unified the German states, and the German economy actually it increased so much that it actually challenged the established power of that era, which was United Kingdom. And we know that when an established power rises to the horizon, they always challenge the established power, just like what is happening now, that China, the rising power, is challenging the United States of America, the established power. And it has been happening throughout all ages, right, starting from Sparta and Athens. That is the story is written in Thucydides' book.
Okay, now moving forward to Pakistan movement. So, who negotiated cabinet mission plan on behalf of Indian National Council?
Ma'am, Azad negotiated from the Congress, and
the full name. Can you take it?
Yes, ma'am. Abul Kalam Azad. Maulana Abul Kalam Azad.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. In which year Pakistan resolution was passed?
Ma'am, 1940, 23 March 1940.
23rd March 1940. Okay. My next question is that let us know the salient features of 1973 Constitution, and I will add to it that who were the signatories of 1973 Constitution.
Ma'am, the salient feature of 1973 Constitution, some of them are it envisioned a parliamentary system. It was actually different from the previous constitution that Mr. Ayub Khan gave, which established the presidential model of politics, and it also established that the elections will be direct, and it established that there will be two houses of the parliament. One is the lower house, which is called as National Assembly, and one is the upper house, which is called Senate. And it also gave the fundamental rights to all citizens. It also gave the directive principles of state, and these are the few of the salient features of 1973 Constitution.
It's called the real Constitution.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Constitution of 1973.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Why?
Ma'am, because it is very well written, it is very comprehensive, and it actually take inspiration from all of the established constitutions in the world that was at the present.
It's a consensus document.
Yes, ma'am.
That's why it's called the real
Yes, ma'am.
Constitution.
It was unanimously passed in the national.
Unanimously passed. Yes. That's correct. That's correct. Okay. Now, moving forward, can you tell us what is the difference between governance and good governance?
Man, governance is actually the state's interaction with its people through laws, through regulations, through values, and good governance is different from the governance because it maintains rule of law. The rules are transparent, and actually the people's life can be improved through good governance. So this is the basic difference between the governance and good governance.
Can you cite some examples of good governance, like laws are being implemented and then people are following those laws and it is being done in a good manner?
Yes, ma'am. Scandinavia is actually one of the prime examples of good governance.
Can we have some example from Pakistan?
Actually, we rank very poor in the good governance index. We actually rank at more.
But still we are performing.
Yes, ma'am.
Government organizations are performing. We are collecting taxes.
Yes, ma'am. We can say that the previous government's free health card was actually one of the examples of good governance. The good governance that states is actually taking the responsibility of its citizens' health, and the model was very transparent when we compare it with the other related models in Pakistan. So that was one of the examples, and similarly the state's initiative to send its capable people for higher education abroad and spending on them, that is also one of the examples of good governance, that state is actually taking the responsibility of educating its people. So,
okay. So can you elucidate the national security policy of the government? National security policy.
National security policy was also initiated by the ex-Prime Minister's government, Mr. Imran Khan. Before the national security policy, the security doctrine of Pakistan was heavily focused on the military security and defense-related equipments expenditures. But the definition of security is actually has been broadened by the political scientists and scholars. They now say that the economic security and the human security, they are more important than the military security. And there is a famous debate of guns versus butter that was initiated by our own finance minister of 1980s era, Dr. Mahbubul Haq. He worked for the United Nations and developed that model of human security. So the national security policy of Pakistan actually focuses on the human security and economic security of Pakistan, and says that it is also as much important as the military security, if not more.
Okay. So my next question is that you have interest in geopolitics and history, and optional subjects are history and philosophy and geography. So my next question is that motivation has been a popular subject with social scientists. Can you talk about some social scientists who have talked about motivation.
Yes, ma'am. The two most prominent names are Maslow and Herzberg. Maslow's famous theory of famous hierarchy of needs. He says that there are different kinds of needs in lifespan of people. First, we have psychological needs. Then we have basic needs.
No, first of all, what do we have?
Psychological needs, ma'am.
How this model is being drawn?
Ma'am, it is basically, it says that when we are born, we have different kinds of need, and as we started to grow as a person,
Yes.
as a human.
So I would like to know about
Yes, ma'am. At the base level, there are psychological and basic needs which include security.
Because psychology comes very late. Psychology comes very late. When the baby is born, the basic need is food and
Yes, ma'am.
clothing.
Yes, ma'am. He actually combined the psychological and basic needs in one, and he says that these are the basic needs. Basic needs include both of them.
Next.
And then, ma'am, love and belonging, friendship and love, and then esteem, and the last stage is self-actualization. A person which is sitting at the stage of esteem, he doesn't need food, he doesn't need more money, but he actually needs the self-actualization, which will only come through recognizing his work, his efforts, his contribution to his country and society. So he says that.
And how this self-actualization stage will come?
Ma'am, it will only come when a person he keeps on reforming himself.
And when his other needs are being met with.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And who is the other person?
Herzberg.
What does he say?
He gave two-factor theory of motivation. He says that the factors that dissatisfy a person are different from the factors that satisfies a person. For example, the factors like security, safety, and salary, he called them as hygiene factors. If a workplace doesn't have them, the person will get demotivated. And the other factors which satisfy the person, they are actually the nature of job, recognition at the job. They are actually the motivating factor for a person, for an employee.
Okay. So now coming to some historical events, what is World War I? What do you know about it?
Ma'am, World War I started in 1914. It was basically the war between the European nations, but because European nations had the colonial empires throughout the world, that is why it is called World War. Otherwise, it was the war between the European powers. On the one side, there were Entente powers, Russia, France, and Britain, and on the other side, there was the Triple Alliance led by Germany, Austria, and Italy. And the reasons of the war are actually very deep line. They started from as we know that with the unification of Germany, that Germany became the powerhouse of Europe, and its economy actually surpassed UK's economy. And the rising power of Germany started to challenge the established power of UK right from the beginning of the 20th century. And it started modernizing its navy, and then a naval war and naval rivalry started between UK and Germany, and that was actually the main deep lying factor of the war. Otherwise, the incident that triggered the war was actually the killing of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria in Bosnia, when he was actually vacationing with his wife.
That's correct. So my last question is that can you give 5 global crises which the world is facing today, because the world is a global village now?
Ma'am, first the biggest global crisis right now the world is facing is actually the war between Ukraine and Russia. It is impacting all of
Okay, next one. You can just name it.
The next is the global energy crisis, the global food crisis, the war between the rivalry between United States and China, and we can also say that the issues in the Middle East, whole of Middle East, for example, Afghanistan's recent crisis, and the the
No, the Afghanistan war is not impacting the entire world, you know. There are certain issues which are impacting the entire world.
Yes, ma'am.
We are facing it together. Everybody is facing
Yes, ma'am.
it together.
The last one I will include the climate change.
The climate change, don't you think corona is the biggest challenge for the humanity at the moment?
But we have actually progressed from that time, and right now the economies are not facing any challenge because of corona, but
Okay.
they are facing challenges because of the global energy crunch right now that they are facing because of the war in Russia and Ukraine.
Okay, so that's my last question. I will request Mr. Sajid to ask questions from you.
Well, Mr. Mudassar, ma'am had divulged on a lot of areas of your interest. I would be asking you something about Pakistan.
Okay, sir.
And when we talk of Pakistan, what is the most imminent threat which is under discussion and which is very, very dangerous? Can you name that?
Sir, the most imminent and the most severe threat right now that Pakistan is facing is the political instability. It is actually impacting the whole.
I'm talking in political. Pakistan has unfortunately never been politically very stable, except for very few, eras, and they were just not more than 2-3 years. The political. I'm talking in terms of economic.
Yes. You're actually right. Right now, what Pakistan is facing a total economic collapse. But we need to understand that the politics and economy they're both interlinked with each other, sir. So the right now the total political chaos, it is the main reason of the economic collapse as well, sir. So you are in that way very actually right that the economic collapse is the most imminent threat that Pakistan is facing right now.
What is the indication of that economic collapse which we are grappling at the moment?
Sir, Pakistan's foreign exchange reserves, they are actually decreasing very rapidly. Right now we are at $7 billion, and then our current account deficit is actually soaring. But right now we have actually controlled that, but then it is hurting our economy, our textile sector, because we have stopped LCs of major textile firms. We have stopped actually the LCs for garlic as well, sir.
So what is that particular state of economic instability is called? Technically, what is the word used for it?
Sir, the technical word used for it is economic default.
Yes.
Default, and we are heading towards it if things doesn't improve. And we have seen a few default in recent eras. One was in Sri Lanka and the other was in Lebanon. So a default happens when a country cannot pay back its debtors, its creditors, and there are no foreign exchange reserves for fuel, for imports, and no country.
What is the direct impact of that default to the general citizens?
Sir, when default happens, you cannot import anything from, especially.
That is, you have already discussed.
Yes, sir.
I'm asking specifically when that thing that you have no reserves.
Yes, sir.
And what that particular process or phenomenon is called?
Sir, the currency of the country is actually devalued massively,
Yes.
and the inflation will soar.
Yeah, that is inflation.
Yes, sir.
When you have scarcity of the goods and you have very high demand.
Yes, sir.
So that means that the currency loses its value.
Yes, sir.
This is called inflation.
Yes, sir.
And do you have an idea what is the current rate of inflation in Pakistan?
Sir, according to the government statistics, it is standing around 30%, but the actual inflation is very high. We all know that the prices have been more than doubled.
It is around 50%.
Yes, sir.
Between 45 to 50%.
Sir.
That is the actual rate of inflation in the market.
Yes, sir.
That is okay. What is tax to GDP ratio?
Sir, tax to GDP ratio determines the contribution of taxes in the country's total GDP. And right now, Pakistan's tax to GDP ratio stands at 9.2%, which is very, very low.
What is ideal ratio?
ideal ratio should be at 30%. For example, the developed countries, for example, Australia actually has a tax to GDP ratio of 30%, but our own countries of our own region, for example, Malaysia and Indonesia, they have tax to GDP ratio of 14%. So at least 14%.
What is the tax to GDP ratio in India, which is very our next door neighbor?
Sir, it is at 11%, and Bangladesh has 12%. So even they are.
I think it is this. You need to probably look into your stats. In India, it is around 16%.
Okay, sorry, sir. I will.
So, and in Pakistan, it is around 9 to 8%. But and it has it grown considerably or it has come down? What does the historical data tell us about the tax to GDP ratio?
Sir, FBR claims that it has been improved, but it has been improved in PKR, Pakistani rupees. But when we consider the dollar, because of the devaluation, when we considered in dollar, it has declined actually.
Oh yes, it was in fact at one point of time, say about three years ago or some time ago, when they claimed that there was political stability.
Yes, sir.
It was said that it was 11%.
Yes, sir.
And now it is around 8 or 9%.
Yes, sir.
So it has declined in that way. What is the quantum of our total tax collection? Do you have an idea about that?
I don't know the correct value of it for it.
Oh, okay. What are the major expenses of Pakistan? The taxes are earned. Where those taxes are spent? What are the main fiscal heads on which Pakistan government has to spend? Briefly, 3-4 topmost our expense.
Sir, our biggest bill is goal in importing the fossil fuel. Our biggest bill goes through that, and the second one is debt servicing.
No, that is not our expense. In fact, whatever government imports, if oil is imported, it is consumed and people pay the price for that.
Yes,
expense is that something which is the exclusive responsibility of the government of Pakistan. What are those expenses? Those are called expenses.
Sir,
you need to be very clear on that.
Sir, the biggest one is debt servicing. It's actually 40% of our total budget.
Okay.
Yes, sir. These are the two biggest.
Any other expense? These are two. I've asked for 3 or 4.
Yes, sir. Sir, I know that these two are the constants, but
the civil expenditure on maintaining the huge bureaucracy in Pakistan, federal as well as provincial, they are also paid from the government national exchequer.
But sir, when we compare them with the first two, they stand.
They are also very high. There's a very important issue which is of very concern to the government, but with relate to these civil expenses. What is that?
Because
the pay of pension.
Sir, even more than salaries we pay the pensions.
So these are the issues.
Yes, sir.
And the government has to pay because the people who have put in more than the best part of their life in the service of the people, good or bad, that's another issue.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So you have referred in your interest that you are in area, regional and all that politics. So what are what is US-China trade war?
Sir, US-China trade war started when Donald Trump, he put the trade tariffs on the Chinese imports because
trade tariffs were already there. He
increased them.
Yes, sir. So you have to be very specific.
Yes, sir. No, sir. The tariff put by Donald Trump, they were unprecedented, sir. They never happened in America.
They were very high.
Yes, sir. And actually those tariffs started the trade war between the two countries. And the now president, Mr. Biden, he actually pursuing the same policies of Donald Trump, but even he is increasing tariffs, and he now has put a complete ban on chip industry in China. Right now, the main component of trade war between United States and China is actually happening in the chip industry, chip manufacturing. United States has recalled his engineers and researchers from China that they cannot work in the Chinese chip industry, Chinese manufacturing.
In the high technology.
Because the next era is the competition will happen in the domain of high technologies, artificial intelligence, and yes.
Okay. Yes. What are the other components of the trade between China and
yes, sir. The trade war is actually impacting the relations.
Components. I'm talking about what are they trading, which is the why. I mean, do you have an idea of the quantum of the trade between what is in dollar terms? I don't think.
No, sir, I don't have idea, but they still are the biggest trading partners of each other, sir.
You are supposed to know the quantum of trade.
Okay, sir.
Because it was something we expect that it is very important. It is you can say it is more than around 300 billion US dollars annually between them, which is very high. And it forms almost, you can say if the Chinese imports are 1800 billion, 1/6 of that. Okay. And of China's US import, it is almost in the same way, almost. And what are those products which are being traded from China to, beside IT and these high tech?
China's biggest imports from United States is...
No, exports of China to US. That is the main concern.
Sir, China exports automobiles and the other manufacturing...
All in fact utility items.
Yes, sir.
Clothing, shoes, their toys, their all the daily needs, I mean utensils, whatnot. They are manufacturing everything.
Yes, sir.
And that is which no other country of the world can either produce nor they can meet the demand of US.
Yes, sir.
So that is the threat to that. Even if China, US imposes any tariffs on that, still they don't have any alternatives.
Yes,
so
sir.
that is the spice of this whole trade war.
But right now they are actually relocating their industries from China to other countries. Indonesia, they are relocating to Indonesia, Vietnam and India as well. They are manufacturing iPhones in India, and Vietnam is actually is saying that we can relocate all US manufacturing in Vietnam. And even that the United States is incentivizing its industry.
Okay, my last question is that global conflict is threatening the world peace at the moment. I mean, armed conflict.
Sir, Russia and Ukraine war, sir, that is impacting the world peace, and just yesterday, a Russian diplomat, right on in his national TV, he threatened United States of America that we will nuke
Use the nukes.
Yes, United States of America. And
from my side, this was my last question.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Mudassar, now we will evaluate your interview. As far as your communication skills are concerned, these are very good, I must say. You are a young, bright man, and your knowledge base is good, but you still need to brush up your areas regarding economy in Pakistan.
Okay, ma'am.
And social and economic problems of Pakistan, which are very, very important for everybody.
Okay, ma'am.
Right? And then there are certain global issues which you need to brush up your knowledge. And with reference to history, because it's your area of interest as well, I must say that you have described Bismarck in a very good manner, but you still need to make it very short and crisp.
Okay, ma'am.
If you are further, brushing up your knowledge, try to make these areas in a very compact manner.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, in which in less time you can explain more.
Okay, ma'am.
So these are the comments from my side, and best of luck.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now I will request Sajisa to comment.
Furthering up, just 2 or 3 observations. One is that to me it feels that you are speaking at a slightly faster pace.
Okay, sir.
Try to curtail it a bit further.
Okay, sir.
Then reply on security, as pointed out by ma'am. Security. The concept of security contains certain, 5-6 elements. You described only 2. So there are food security, then financial security, water security. These are also very important aspect of the national security. So
yes,
you need to look into that.
But
they were not mentioned, please. And then control of your hand movement is slightly more. You need to control that. So that's all I wanted to say.